the Parliament of Zimbabwe went through the parliamentary reform process, which is now that's a way of moving from being a rubber stamping authority to be more conducting oversight. And as you would know now, the Constitution of Zimbabwe requires that Section 119 of the Constitution, that Parliament should protect the Constitution. We are still learning. The Parliament of Zimbabwe started the reforms not long ago, and we are still learning. It's a learning curve, and hence the involvement of ZPSP in that aspect is critical.
We find ZPSP that they offered to come in Parliament as other development partners which help to open Parliament maybe to the public and carry out, as what my colleague has said, adopt the best practices in the region, on the continent, and the world over.
The capacitation of the members of Parliament is critical. It's very critical in that aspect. You may have the power that you don't understand. The question again is this: which may be possible is the strengthening of the institutional memory. Those who are not replaced, like Daniel, the staff of Parliament, that in the capacitation program, there has to be another deliberate program to actually capacitate the staff so that you retain the institutional memory. Then in turn they'll be able to transmit to the incoming members of Parliament.
You know, the Parliament, as you are aware, is the third arm of the state, and one of its major functions is the oversight function. And the oversight function is to look at what the executive, does, and also to give recommendations to the executive in the areas, that they implement policy. And we have got committees that, overshadow, the ministries. The Committee on Peace and Security, for example, and also the Portfolio Committee on Defense and Home Affairs. These basically have a direct link with issues of peace and security. And these committees essentially have to have the knowledge in peace and security issues, and in the broader sense, that it is, perceived. And the good thing is that the program brought in the capacity building of these committees, and the understanding of members at the moment is high enough for them to be able to critically analyze whether it's expenditure, from the budgets, or whether it's in reports, and whether it is in any policies, that these, departments or ministries, would want to implement. Parliamentarians, after every 5 years, they go. After 2018, for example, in the Parliament of Zimbabwe, I will have a new crop of parliamentarians, coming in. But what always stays is the staff of Parliament. And it is my appeal that, every program should ensure that the staff of Parliament are thoroughly trained in the same manner as members are trained, in such that because they remain as the institutional memory, of the institution. And the second component is that, all is not lost when members leave, because members belong to communities, and the community is the community of Zimbabwe. They become a better citizen in the area that they go. For example, if we go for public hearings in those areas, those guys will always be very useful, to at least input in the public hearings, that we'll be doing. The two committees that we have talked about is only the beginning, but there are many other committees that have relevance to issues of, peace and security. For example, the Committee on Finance and Economic Development. That's the committee that is tasked with the distribution or the scrutiny of the budgets before budget is passed. There are the committees of the public accounts, also scrutinizing, the use of resources. There are, even foreign affairs committees. All these committees need to be very much aware of the broad definitions and the broad workings of peace and security governance issues. And it is, I think, almost the beginning. I think we've got lots of, engagement and lots of things, that we need to work together with, in terms of making sure that, Parliament is well abreast with the concepts of peace, security and governance issues.
In Zimbabwe, the institution Parliament has not fully been understood, fully its role by parliamentarians, and more the role of parliamentarians still remains an issue to be dealt with very effectively. The example that I may second my observation is that we have a situation in Zimbabwe where policing is poorly managed. You encounter 4 roadblocks that exist in the community, a community that has a member of parliament, and the member of parliament is subjected to the same hassles of the roadblock and does not question the role of this kind of policing. The worst happens to the community who don't even know these procedures. They need explanation from a member of parliament who is not able to understand and does not even bother to know what these roadblocks are for. I think there is more to be done, more education, more capacity building directed to parliamentarians to understand their role and also to understand the role of Parliament as an institution.
Besides the president, anyone else who is in there has moved here and there. So there is that kind of revolution. And there's a lot of young people who have become MPs. In the past it was the old people. Young people were not interested in politics. But of late, there's a lot of young people, so we want to take advantage of the literacy that they have so that they can understand the security sector.